Hey, what's happening? This is Tim Foreman with Switchfoot and Bongo Chico, and you're listening to my weekly mixtape right here with Brian Colburn.
Welcome to My Weekly Mixtape, a podcast that takes the classic mixtape approach to building a modern playlist. I'm your host, Brian Colburn. Tonight, I'm excited to welcome Tim Foreman of Switchfoot to the program. Tim, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hey, it's good to be here, Brian.
I always like to start by asking my first-time guests this question. What does the word mixtape mean to you?
Well, I remember recording radio onto a boombox, and you'd wait for like your favorite songs, and then when you hear them starting on the radio, you'd record them, and you'd do that with enough songs till you assembled a mixtape. And then, if you had like a best friend or a girlfriend, you pass the mixtape along, and that was the way that I fell in love with music.
Awesome. Well, today we're here to talk about the band's new collaborative single, Last Man Standing, which you guys recorded with the legendary Buddy Guy.
The one and only.
My heart's taking a beating, but there's still a drumbeat inside. I know my days are numbered, but I'm still awake, I'm still alive. Sands of time slipping through my hands. I'm the last man standing. Yeah, I'm the last man standing.
This is such a unique collaboration that truly pushes the boundaries for both artists here, Switchfoot and Buddy Guy, even though Switchfoot has never been a stranger to trying to push the musical boundaries in the band's music. How did this collaboration come together?
Yeah, so Buddy Guy has been one of our musical heroes since we were little. The idea of doing a song with Buddy Guy didn't even seem like that was within the realm of possible realities. But the music industry is a beautiful thing, and we're friends with his longtime drummer, Tom, who happened to be in town one day with Buddy, and Tom had a day off, and he was like, "Hey, let's write a song together." And Tom's a great songwriter, and we were like, "Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun. Come to our studio." And so he shows up, and we're like, "Hey, kind of a crazy idea, but what if we wrote a song for Buddy?" And yeah, he's like, "Oh, it's a long shot, but let's give it a shot." And John had this concept in mind specifically for Buddy called Last Man Standing, which is absolutely perfect for Buddy. I mean, he is Mr. Blues, and he's in that realm of kind of like the guys. He's the last man standing, and what a legacy that he's standing on. And so that was kind of the premise, and we wanted to write a mean old dirty rock song about the man himself. And Buddy heard it and was like, "Yeah, let me play on that. Let me sing on that." And it just turned into something that was, I mean, anything Buddy sings and plays on, it's going to elevate it. And when we got it back, we were blown away.
Now, the Tom you're talking about is Tom Hambridge, who's got a ton of experience in the blues field, obviously playing drums for Buddy Guy, but he's also honed his songwriting and producing craft with the likes of B.B. King, George Thorogood, and Christone Kingfish Ingram for some of the newer
That's right.
artists he's been working with. Meanwhile, over the years, Switchfoot worked with producers like John Fields, who, along with the band, has also worked with Jimmy Eat World, Semisonic, Soul Asylum, as well as pop artists such as Miley Cyrus, Pink, and Demi Lovato. Can you talk about the differences that the two producers bring to the fold and maybe what was unique about the sessions with Tom?
Yeah, well, I think, the beautiful thing about music is good music is good music, right? And you can find it in any genre. And I think when you're working with someone like Tom, who's so good at what he does. I mean, talk about a legend in his own right. Those are just fun sessions because I think you really feel like you're driving a Ferrari. Like anything's possible. You know, you could make a pop song, you could make a blues song. There's nothing that I think a good musician can't do. And we're all inspired by the same people, you know, whether you're working with a pop artist or like you can't find someone who hasn't been inspired by Buddy Guy, you know. So I think, you know, the marriage of working with Tom on a Buddy Guy track felt like the easiest thing in the world.
All right, so I want to tackle a little bit of that influence that you're talking about there because Buddy Guy has influenced Jimi Hendrix, Eric Clapton. Basically, if you've played a blues riff in any way, shape, or form in your entire life, you're inspired by Buddy Guy. What were some of the things the band learned from Buddy while working on this track together?
Yeah, well, and I would just add, you know, when I said everyone's been influenced by Buddy Guy, I should have added whether they know it or not.
That's a good
Because,
point.
you know, you make the distinction that if you played a blues riff, but I would argue, you know, if you're playing pop music, you're standing on the shoulders of these giants
Yeah,
like Buddy Guy.
fair.
You may not be aware of it, you know, but it's all been built on blues music. And yeah, well, I think he's certainly a less is more kind of guy where, you know, I think some of my favorite moments were moments where he'll just hold a single note, but it's the right note at the right time with the right tone. And just a master class in that is just doing the essentials so well. I think his vocal pocket and delivery, I mean, you really believe it when he's singing. There's a lot of good singers out there. I don't always believe them, you know, but when Buddy steps up to the microphone, I believe every single word.
I had the privilege of seeing Buddy Guy on one of the Experience Hendrix tours. And when he came out and did a set, I turned to my wife and said, you have to believe what this man is saying. Every story he's telling, whether it's something that he just wrote lyrically or if it's something that really comes from the heart, you felt it in the performance. There's something that's so real and so authentic about him.
Yeah, authenticity is a great word for Buddy.
So I have to ask, the song is so fantastic. Is this collaboration a one-off or is it maybe part of something bigger? Because I'm not going to lie, Last Man Standing makes me want to hear an entire album collaboration between you both.
Man, I mean, that would be that would be a true dream. There's nothing like that in the works. But I will say this song definitely got us, not that we stopped being excited by electric guitar, but I think it got us re-energized in guitar music again. And definitely sent us back into the studio with much more pep in our step. And we just got out of a session actually recording our new record, and a lot of angry guitar energy all over it. So that's all thanks to Buddy.
Now, is any of the blues seeping into these new tracks you're working on?
I mean, not intentionally, but
Okay.
always. But always, you know, like we were talking about earlier, it's all blues.
Well, 2025 is obviously shaping up to be a big year for you and the band because you just said the band is in the studio, but this year also marks your debut solo project, Bongo Chico, which drops on May 30th. Could you talk about the origins of this project? Because I feel like this has been a long time coming and maybe why 2025 was the year to bring this project to its final fruition.
Yeah, I would say the peer pressure was a long time coming. My brother, in particular, and the rest of my bandmates have been encouraging me to do a solo project for years. But my brother was relentless about it. Like, you got to do it. You got to do it. And I was like, every time I was kind of like, I'm not so sure that I do, you know, until I finally, like, I think the timing was just right. He was busy doing some solo touring, and my kids weren't so young anymore that I had a little more free time on my hands. And I guess I grew curious as to what my solo project would even sound like. Kind of that existential, well, I've written for Switchfoot my entire life, and I've never written for my own voice. What would that even sound like? So then I just started writing, and I was like, okay, if I can get 10 songs that I love, then maybe I'll put it out, you know? and I ended up with 15 songs that I really loved and made a 12-song record. And I worked really quick, you know. I think I was trying to outrun my fears the whole time. And I'm really proud of it. It's everything that I love about music. You know, there's Beatles, Beach Boys, Zombies, My Bloody Valentine, you know, all the bands that I grew up loving have found their way into this album, but yeah, it feels uniquely mine at the same time.
So then let's dive into the album's lead single, When You Walked Away.
What does it feel like to begin? Does it feel like starting over? What does it mean to try again? Are the answers any closer? What did you mean when you said the end was only the beginning? Wasting away on the sidewalk outside your apartment. You thought that I'd forgotten. Fading away like a daydream, slipping through the window. I never loved you more than when you walked away.
The first time I heard this song, I was impressed because there was a blending of alternative rock with maybe a dash of power pop. And even though Switchfoot's no stranger, like we talked about before, of exploring different musical boundaries, has this project as a whole given you a little bit more freedom to maybe explore genres that wouldn't fit with Switchfoot's sound?
Yeah, well, I think one of the beauties of being a band as long as Switchfoot has been is that we've had a chance to really kind of do a lot of twists and turns along the way. And I think our fans are kind of expecting that with every record. But I do think with the Bongo Chico record, I was able to kind of uniquely showcase the music that I really love. And I think that's definitely the flavor that I bring to Switchfoot. But with Bongo Chico, it's just entirely that. And it's really a fun thing to be that kind of indulgent of just like, I just get to make exactly the record that I want to make.
Awesome. What can people expect from the rest of the album?
Well, it really dives into my love for psychedelic music, but in a very pop way. Because I love a good hook. I love chords. I'm obsessed with chords. And I feel like chords can make you feel things that words can't, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They do the heavy lifting. And so I really spent my time just kind of obsessing over, you know, finding the right key changes and chords and just being really adventurous with this project. I think we took big swings the entire way and we just didn't let up. And it chose the more adventurous option every single time.
Well, with those big swings, it certainly landed in a home run as far as I'm concerned. But while we're here, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk just a little bit of Switchfoot, as 2025 also marks the 20th anniversary of Nothing Is Sound. For me, this fantastic album was kind of marred in some controversy because Sony included that XCP copy protection on the CD. Now, I'm someone who owns 4,500 CDs, so I'm going to admit here, this was an alarming move to me on Sony's part. But I vividly remember you personally taking a stand against Sony and posting the workaround on Switchfoot's social channels. Could you talk about the impact that XCP had on the band? Because most of the articles that came out around that time focused on the impact to the fans. And I've often wondered if this debacle hindered the album in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So that was our second major label record, is following up our biggest record, which was The Beautiful Letdown. Our expectations were high because we felt like we had made the best record of our career. You know, I still think it's one of my favorite Switchfoot records. And we got our first shipment of CDs, I think the day before it came out. And there was all this legal wording on the back talking about this new software that was installed on it. And none of that had been run by us. We weren't the only artist affected. Foo Fighters had a release same week.
In Your Honor, yeah.
Yep. There are a few others, but it was shocking. You know, even if it hadn't had spyware, and we'll get into that, but just I felt like it was a slap in the face to customers, to fans, to say right out of the gate, we don't trust you.
Yeah.
And looking back, it seems almost absurd that you would tell someone that they're not allowed to copy something that they own and put it in another media form that they also own. But back then, that was the fight that Sony was having with consumers. Was we don't trust you, so we're not going to let you rip the CD and put it on. iPhones weren't even a thing.
It was iPods at
I
the
guess
time.
iPods, you know, and so major slap in the face to our fans. But then above and beyond that, it comes out immediately that there was spyware on the CDs, and they were actually gathering data illegally. Big lawsuit. So I was a computer science major. I didn't graduate because we got too busy touring, but that was kind of like the other part of my brain. And I was like, well, there's got to be a way to find a workaround for this. And so I kind of figured out a way to hack the system and posted it online. And of course, Sony's lawyers were very upset about that. And they were following me around in interviews. And it was kind of this big, horrible thing that at every interview, we weren't even talking about the music. We had put out this great record that we believed in, and all anyone wanted to talk about was this spyware that we had nothing to do with. And, I was like, I guess, the champion of the people, but I didn't even want to be that. I just wanted to be a musician and play the songs that we had put out. And so anyway, the CDs were pulled from the shelves immediately because of the lawsuit. This was like, I think November, which is when record labels release their big releases for the year.
Yeah.
And it didn't make it back into stores until after Christmas. And then the record was done. And it was essentially shelved. The message we got from Sony at the time was, we just need to put out another record real quick and put it behind us. And that was the story of Nothing is Sound, which, was appropriately named. It was Nothing was sound at that time. That was a chaotic time. And it's crazy story to look back on now, but yeah, that really happened.
Well, I want to thank you because thanks to your help, I was able to put both Nothing is Sound and In Your Honor onto my iPod the week I bought it. So thank you for that 20 years later. But with 2025 being the album's 20th anniversary, and given all that went down the first time around, are there any plans for the band to maybe try to celebrate the album's anniversary and make up for Sony's mistakes with 2 decades of hindsight?
We'll certainly do something. I think, we just did the full re-record of The Beautiful Letdown, on which was the last anniversary we just had. And so I think right now we're more excited about making new music than just rehashing old music. That's kind of where our heads are at right now, but I'm sure we'll do something because we do love that record.
Well, then I have to follow up and press just a little bit. Are there any new details about the next Switchfoot album that you'd be willing to share? Some new song titles, maybe an idea of when the album's going to drop?
Yeah, we're pretty far along on it, actually. We spent some time in Nashville at the beginning of the year working with Mike Elizondo, who we've worked with on a few records in the past. Most notably, Hello Hurricane was the first record that we'd worked with him entirely on, which is another special record for us. And we won a Grammy with that record. So it's good memories working with Mike. And he's phenomenal. His studio in Nashville is great, super inspiring place. So we did a couple weeks of tracking there, and now we've been finishing up here in the studio back in California. And it's a mean rock record. It's probably the most aggressive record that we've ever made, and
wow,
super excited about it. Yeah, we're excited about guitars again, so we're ready to go.
So when do you think fans will get their first taste of the new songs?
Well, we're hoping that we can get some music out before the end of the year.
That's amazing. Now, I do want to touch base on another Switchfoot song, if that's okay, because What It Costs from the Edge of the Earth EP was a song that you took the lead vocals on, which is something that is a bit of a rarity across the Switchfoot catalog. However, It's such a great song. I'm wondering why it wasn't included originally on Fading West, because when you listen to that album and then you listen to What It Costs, it's a perfect fit.
Oh, thanks. That whole EP, the Edge of the Earth EP, I think there's a lot of songs on that that, arguably could have been on Fading West. I think we really like that EP. And I think some of those songs are more attached to the film version of Fading West than the album. And that song in particular, I wrote during the filming of Fading West when my brother had to fly home from Australia for emergency surgery that his daughter was going through, and really kind of a crazy time. And so suddenly I'm in a hotel room by myself. John and I normally share a hotel room, and his guitar's there because he just had to pack everything up and go. We had to cancel the rest of the tour. And so I'm there, thinking about my brother, and picked up his guitar and wrote that song for him.
Oh, it's an amazing one. Well, that was a really deep focus on one song. I kind of want to expand things all the way out, kind of a top level view here for this last question. In the spirit of My Weekly Mixtape, if you had to sum up the entire career of Switchfoot, from the Legend of Chin all the way to the music you're working on now, if there were 3 songs that you had to pick that told the story of Switchfoot, which 3 would you choose and why?
Okay. I'm not going to overthink it. Learning to Breathe, Meant to Live, and Dare to Move.
Switchfoot and Buddy Guy's collaboration Last Man Standing is available now on all streaming platforms. Bongo Chico's When You Walked Away in 1995 are also available now, with the full album coming your way May 30th. So be on the lookout for that. Tim, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me on My Weekly Mixtape.
Yeah, thanks, Brian.
And to those listening, remember, you can find My Weekly Mixtape on almost all the social media haunts at My Weekly Mixtape. You can also head to myweeklymixtape.com to check out the full catalog of My Weekly Mixtape episodes. And finally, if you like what you're hearing on the show, you can help me out by either telling a friend, leaving the show a 5-star review wherever you're tuning in, or becoming a Patreon mixtaper at patreon.com/My Weekly Mixtape. There you can find ad-free episodes of the show, gain early access to upcoming episodes, chime in on future topics, become a guest curator, and so much more. That's all for this week. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, enjoy the tunes.